So chances are, if you watch my channel, you probably like things like turn-based RPGs, tactical strategy games, and maybe even board games as well. So today I've actually got something, if you like that kind of stuff, this might actually be interesting to you. So today I'm talking about Annulus, a brand new tactical RPG that's available on Steam, Apple App Store, and Google Play. What really stood out to me after spending a lot of time with it is just how much it leans into strategy, layered gameplay systems that you know and love from tactical-based games, and just a really cool and unique visual identity to create something that feels familiar in a way, and also fresh and new at the same time. Now, before we dive in, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave your thoughts down below. And just a heads up that today's video is actually a sponsored video, but all my thoughts are my own. So let's get to this one. It's pretty cool. So let's start with the story and the overall tone of the game. And from what I've experienced so far, the story centers around a large-scale civil war with a strong North versus South kind of vibe. It's really dark and grounded, and it certainly doesn't shy away from the weight of war. And that tone, in my experience, carries through everything from the narrative and the gameplay itself. What really impresses me is the scale, even in the earlier hours. I mean, the game's script, from what the developers told me, is huge with lots of story content. So there's a lot to dive into in terms of world building. And even in the portions that I've played, you can actually really feel that effort. Characters do have clear motivations, battles feel purposeful, and there's always a strong sense of why you're fighting, not just how. And that's a clear hook that I look out for when I play any game, not just RPGs or JRPGs. So if you do enjoy tactical RPGs that try to pull you into their world rather than just throwing you from battle to battle, there is a lot to get invested in here. Built in Unreal Engine, Annulus really leans into that dark and detailed medieval aesthetic. And this is a really cool kind of standout strength for me and something that's a little bit more unique from games that I generally play. The environments, the lighting, and the effects give battles a more cinematic feel, but what really stood out to me is the cool art direction here. I mean, everything feels intentionally crafted to support the tone of the game, from the battlefield layouts to the UI and character presentation. It's a really consistent vibe. Now, thankfully for me, it ran pretty smoothly on my PC, and overall the presentation feels pretty polished and cohesive. I mean, it's one of those games where the visual identity does a lot of heavy lifting and pulling you into the world, which is a real winner for a darker aesthetic game like this. Now let's talk about the core of the experience, the combat. This is where Annulus really starts to shine. Now you've seen some of the gameplay already, but at its foundation, you've got a classic grid-based tactical system with a familiar weapon triangle. Swords beat axes, axes beat spears, spears beat swords, with bows countering flying units. It's intuitive, of course, and easy to pick up, and it gives you a solid base to build from. But where the game really elevates itself is through the gameplay systems, especially, using elements and terrain. So elemental interactions aren't just a side mechanic here. They actively shape how you approach each encounter, and pair that with environmental effects like fire, poison, water, and ice. And suddenly the battlefield becomes something you need to read and control, not necessarily just move across. And that ties directly into the terrain as well. I mean, positioning isn't just important. It's often the difference between winning cleanly or getting easily overwhelmed. High ground, hazards, environmental triggers can give you a serious edge if you play around them well. It creates this constant push and pull where your decisions feel incredibly rewarding if you can do everything, with enough foresight. The game also shows predicted battle outcomes before you commit. So if you played stuff like Fire Emblem before, that's going to feel a little bit familiar. And again, with stuff like that, it just makes planning feel more deliberate and satisfying rather than just guessing what could happen. So combine that with the counterattack system, every move has weight. You are always having to think a step ahead. It's really great brain food for, gameplay here. And I really do like that. Now, healing is handled through map-based tiles instead of consumables, which is something pretty unique here. You're not just managing health here, you're managing space and positioning over time, especially in longer encounters. So you have to bear that in mind when you're having a longer battle. You don't have any items. You've just got to pay attention to the map and try and get your units to heal if you are needing to heal. Now, unit progression is also designed to reward your play. Leveling is handled through resources earned in battle, giving you direct control how and when characters grow. And on top of that, an MVP style system rewards standout performance of your characters, letting you prioritize key units or help bring others up to speed, which can be pretty handy if you've got somebody that's really cool and you just want to, have them be evenly leveled with the rest of your guys. Now, one interesting thing here that I really do like is that class progression sticks within defined paths. This helps keep things really focused. Instead of overwhelming you with choices like some games often do, leading to option paralysis, especially in my opinion, sometimes I always get stuck figuring, so am I going to have one of my characters go to a different job or stay within that same class? The Annulus lets you refine and strengthen each character's role while still giving you some meaningful customization through skill trees. If you're somebody who enjoys optimizing builds and layouts and all that kind of stuff, and really digging into systems, there's a lot to work with here too. And to round things out, the music of Annulus takes maybe more of a minimal and intentional approach, which in my opinion works really well in the game's favor. It lets the tension of each battle and the atmosphere of the world come through clearly without overwhelming the experience. It's one of those things that if it were removed, you would definitely notice it. So my final thoughts here, I would say Annulus is a pretty strong entry into the tactical RPG space. What stands out the most for me is how everything comes together. The systems, the elements, the terrain, the unit positioning, and just that overall sense of progression that's really apparent within the game to create combat that feels really fun and engaging, and especially rewarding over time as you continue to play the game. And on top of that, the art direction is really unique, combined with the world building. It just gives it a distinct identity that helps you take this game a bit more seriously than some other games in this space. So if you enjoy games like Fire Emblem or Final Fantasy Tactics, and you're looking for something with a more darker tone and a really strong focus on strategic depth, this is one that I would say you should absolutely check out. So it's available now on Steam, the Apple App Store, and Google Play, and all the links are in the description below. So thanks again for watching this video on Annulus today. I think it's a really interesting, dark kind of fantasy, medieval tactics RPG. And again, like if you like Fire Emblem, Final Fantasy Tactics, I think this is going to be right up your alley. And I just like that it's not kind of like an anime vibe. It's more realistic and grounded. So please check the links down below and check this game out. I think it's going to be really cool and well worth your time. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you again on another video next week. Bye-bye.